Peace, peace. It's a nigga creepy real coming to you live once again. I'm back at your ass with another video. Now, let's talk about this character called Black Adam. Let's talk about him. Watch how I connect something for you. So it says Black Adam. It's the Black Adam that they have, and this nigga is sitting on the throne. We bring it up for you, you can see this. So they got this dude sitting on the throne, right? Black with the lightning, okay? Right? You got the two lions on the side, whatever, right? So let's read this. It says Black Adam is a fictional supervillain appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics, right? Created by Otto Binder and C.C. Beck, the character is the arch enemy of the superhero Shazam. Black Adam first appeared as a one-time villain for the first issue of Crusades Comics, the Marvel Family comic book, December 1945. Okay, let's go down here. Let's read through this. All right. It said, listen to this. As originally depicted, Black Adam was a corrupted ancient Egyptian predecessor of Captain Marvel, who fought his way to modern time to challenge the hero and his Marvel family associates. Okay? Now keep this ancient Egyptian in mind, right? Let's keep on going here. Okay? It says in the canon version of Black Adam appeared only once during Fawcett's initial publication run of Captain Marvel's comics. In Marvel Family 1, Black Adam is an ancient Egyptian named Teth Adam, i.e. Mighty Human, who was chosen by the wizard Shazam to be his successor during his presumed mortal purity. The story is reprinted in DC Shazam number 8, 1973, which is his true first appearance in the Bronze Age. Bronze Age? We're going back to ancient Egypt time. What? When Teth Adam says the magic word Shazam, he is transformed into a superpowered being possessing the same powers that Captain Marvel would later be granted. However, Mighty Adam is soon corrupted by the vastness of his powers. Originally, the wizard Shazam grants Adam powers derived from ancient Greco-Roman deities. Later in the series, it was changed to the ancient Egyptian deities. Now, it says here that deciding that he should rule the world, Mighty Adam overthrows and kills the pharaoh and assumes the Egyptian throne. Angered by this betrayal, Shazam renames his inherent champion Black Adam, and unable to evoke the powers he gave Adam, banishes him to the most distant star in the universe. Black Adam spends the next 5,000 years flying back to Earth. By the time he makes it back in 1945, Shazam has appointed 3 new champions to take his place. Okay? Now, listen to this. So now they're talking about his powers. Okay? His powers. What is Black Adam's powers? It says later, Dr. Sabina uses his resurrection machine to resurrect Adam. When last seen during the Crisis on Infinite Earths, pre-Crisis version, Adam was fighting the heroes on the 5 remaining and partially merged Earths. While he is defeated in the same story in which he debuted, the non-canon or DC version of Adam is resurrected nearly 33 years later in Philadelphia by Dr. Sivana's reincarnation machine and DC Comics Shazam. It says he then destroys the machine so he cannot be sent back. According to Shazam's number 28, Black Adam's first new appearance, but second actual appearance in the Bronze Age. Black Adam gets his powers from Shu, stamina, her chef, strength. Okay. Her chef strength, Amen power, Zehuti talk wisdom, and Anpo speed, and Mentu courage. Now, are you saying these powers that he has? So he says that he has these powers, and he has one that's called Mentu, right? Mentu or Mantu was a falcon god of war in ancient Egyptian religion, an embodiment of the conquering validity of the pharaoh. He was particularly worshipped in Upper Egypt and in the district of Thebes, despite being a Delta native astral deity. Now let's go here to his powers. Let's go to his powers. So it says, his abilities are the stamina of Shu, superhuman stamina, and invulnerability. So Shu is what? Shu was one of the primordial Egyptian gods, a personification of dry air, spouse and counterpart goddess Tefnut, and one of the 9 deities, the Enad of the Heliopolis cosmogony. What else he has? The speed of Haru, superhuman speed in flight. So Haru or Horus. Horus is one of the most significant ancient Egyptian deities. He was worshipped from at least the late prehistoric Egypt until the Ptolemaic Kingdom and Roman Egypt. Different forms of Horus or Haru are recorded in history, and these are treated as distinct gods by Egyptologists. These various forms may possibly be different manifestations of the same multi-layered deity. What else he has? The strength of Amen, superhuman strength. Amen is a major ancient Egyptian deity who appears as a member of the Homopolitan Agdad. Okay? What else you have? Wisdom of Zehuti, genius level intellect and wise wisdom. Zehuti, or his other name is Thoth, is one of the ancient Egyptian deities. In art, he was often depicted as a man with the head of an ibis or a baboon, animal sacred to him. His feminine counterpart was Shishat, and his wife was Ma'at. The power, what else he has? The power of the Anten, or the Aten. Full control and emissioning of magical lightning and thunder. What is that? The Aten is the disk of the sun in ancient Egyptian mythology, and originally an aspect of the god Ra. The deified Aten is the focus of the monotheistic religion of Atenism, established by Amenhotep IV, who later took the name Akhenaten or Akhenaten, and the Akan name, in worship. What else he has? The courage of Menhen, unlimited courage and proficient hand-to-hand combat. What is this? Menhen. In ancient Egypt, the name Menhen, meaning coiled one, referred to a mythological snake god. Now let's look at some of these words. Let's go back here to the Africans who wrote the Bible. So they got this black superhero named Black Adam, right? And this comic came out in 1945, right? And he's an ancient Egyptian deity, or ancient Egyptian. And he has the powers of the Egyptians, of the ancient Egyptian deities. The stamina of Shu is the air, okay? The stamina of Haru is Haru or Horus, or they say Horus. Hour, that's where you get your time. So he has a speed, he has a power of controlling time. The strength of Amen, Okay? Zehuti of writing and math, right? The Aten and the snake. Now let's go back here. The Africans wrote the Bible, right? And my first thing I want to talk about are the ancient pharaoh names, okay? So they fucked the names up, right? I'm going to go to page 216. Okay? So you have here a Khan name of ancient ancient Jewish gods. And the quote, okay, so it says that in the quotation above, the red uses the Akan name of a god, but he says, but I don't think he knew it, or Western historians haven't known it. Since the Akan name of the ancient household gods of the Jewish people has been mentioned here, I would like to reveal that the ancient Jewish name for the household gods of the Jewish people, Tephirim, was derived from the Akan language. What has long been believed in the Hebrew word to be the Hebrew word Tephirim is a corruption of the Akan words Tina Afim, meaning stay in homes. These gods were the gods of the household, and it was the original Akan meaning of these words that made these gods household gods. Among ancient Akan people, the gods of household were also referred to as Tina Afim gods. The Tina Afim gods were represented in wooden deities and other three-dimensional images. The corruption of these Akan words easily became Tephirim. It is clear that the word Tephirim is simply an orthographic and not even a semantic corruption of the Akan words Tina Afim, from which it originates. Here is another example in which the Akan word Tina was transposed in history and the Bible into Terah as in the name of Abraham's father Terah. This is also the name of the angel Sephirim. That is also a corruption of the Akan words Sarah or S-R-A, Afim, meaning visit homes or the visitor of homes. These words are specifically words from the language of the branch of the Akan group known as the Aku Apim people. It was from this Akan language version of these people that the biblical Edom or Adomia, the biblical Edom and Idumea was derived. The Akuapim people were the earliest pharaohs of ancient Egypt, suggesting that they were foundation members of the design and creation of the ancient civilizations. The most popular of the Akuapim people, the Akuapim kings in ancient Egyptian history, were the 4th dynasty kings Khufu, or his name was Akufu, and his sons Ogiere Afre and Dade Afre, known in Western linguistics corruptions as Khufu and Jedefre and Kefra. So these are their names, their ancient names. Khufu name is Akufu. So you have Khufu. Here's your Khufu. Let me see. Khufu. Pharaoh. So you got the Pharaoh Khufu, right? Here's Khufu, or they call him Cheops. Okay? But that's not his name. Or they call him Khephren. Okay? This is Khufu. Okay? You got Sneferu, Father Sneferu, Khufu ship, right? Things like that. So Khufu name is his original name was Akhufu. Okay? Now, let's go back here and let's talk about the snake on page 214. Okay? Now, remember I said that Black Adam's powers are the Egyptian deities. 1 second. Okay. So, remember I said Black Adam's power, his powers are the Egyptian deities. Okay? And it said the courage of the menhen, and it's a snake. Let's go back here. Let's go back here to what the snake is. Okay? What does that mean in ancient Egypt? The symbol of the serpent as the object of worship and reverence as King Tutu Akoma or King Tut. He had a snake on his head, the coiled snake. And it says that the ancient Egyptians worshipped this snake as a symbol of wisdom. In the pyramid text of ancient Egypt, there is evidence of the existence of a snake god, going back as early as the 5th and 6th dynasty. Evidence of ancient Egyptian worship of the serpent can be found in the image of the serpent on the headgear of their rulers. The ancient Egyptians reverenced serpents because of the snake's ability to renew itself by shedding its skin over and over. And what does it say? The snake, it means the coy one. Okay? It means the coy one. And it says the snake god, the earliest reference to menhen occur in the coffin text. Okay? It's a protected deity who is depicted as a snake which coils around the sun god Ra during his journey through the night. Okay? Now, let's keep on going. It goes on to say that in ancient Egyptian beliefs, serpents will also symbol the resurrection. The dictionary of ancient Egypt states that in the book of the Gates, recovered from the tomb of Seti, 1294 to 1279 BC, there was a large winding coil of a snake with the hieroglyphics that translate into the word lifespan. This refers to the ancient Egyptian belief in the cyclical nature of life that derived into the earlier concept of resurrection and the later concept we have a reincarnation in some religions of the world. Now, let's go here to what the real reason the Crusades were about. So all that shit about we was put on slave ship because of God cursed us, that's bullshit. I'm going to tell you the real reason why they enslaved us and what the Crusades were about. Consequences of Christian Europe's action on Africans. The effects of this introduction of religion to escape and the Catholic Church's early ambitions and attempts to dominate religion inside and outside Europe led to the grave, negative, and terrible consequences on Africans, the modern descendants of ancient Egyptians. Specifically, the greatest fallout of the introduction fell on the modern descendants of the ancient Akan people, the very people whose ancient ancestors conceived the idea of theosophy and designed the first religion from which all religions of this world emerged. And the discussion of the secret war of Christian Europe on ancient Egypt, a major historical event that occurred in Africa, in African and European interactions to help Christian Europe bring down ancient Egypt and its modern descendants and faraway Africa with slavery. Different versions of the story of the enslavement of Africans have been told by many historians in the West, but none has ever revealed that the Catholic Church was the cause and the political and spiritual power behind European enslavement of the African people beginning from the 15th century. How did this happen? It happened from distinct religious and political events that had nothing to do with the Africans. Even these historical events did not look related in any way, but they were. In 476 AD, Germanic barbarians attacked and destroyed Rome and consequently the Roman Empire. Western historians believe this was the most predominant historical event that sent Europe into the Dark Ages. As Europe was coming out of the Dark Ages, she was faced with political chaos, and Europeans were bitterly embroiled in wars with each other in search of their ethnic, political, and national identities and borders. Medieval Europe was, therefore, mostly a disorganized continent unto itself, with very little contact with the outside world. Historically, the path of Africans and the history of Europeans were never designed to cross, but these paths did cross through developing circumstances in Europe and the Middle East. After the destruction of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church stepped in the political and leadership vacuum that had been created in Europe. Evidence of the use of religion and the Catholic Church role in laying the foundation of European social, economic, and political development can still be found in how Western Europeans proudly describe their historical traditions within the context of religion as the Judeo-Christian tradition. Before the Church could introduce the Judeo-Christian foundation of nationhood and society building to Europeans, it first had to bring peace to Europe. It therefore became the responsibility of the Church to bring peace and order into the chaos of Europe. The Church needed to do that to make it possible for the propagation of the gospel. In a calculated plan to bring peace among warring Europeans, the Catholic Church designed a strategy to introduce Europeans to an outside religion, to an outside religious enemy, instead of Europeans seeing each other as enemies. At the same time, the Church secretly sought to dominate religious thought inside and outside Europe by attacking and eliminating any rival religions that gave it the opportunity to do so, and the Church's first opportunity came soon enough. Spillover from the Crusades onto Africans. In Palestine, Muslims had taken over Jerusalem and blocked Christian Europe's access to the so-called Holy Land. Christian Europe perceived Jerusalem as the center and capital of Christendom, and that meant Christians in Europe could not concede their capital and holiest city to a rival religion. The Catholic Church therefore decided to shift the attention of Europeans from rivalry and wars among themselves to the Muslims. The Church decided that Christian Europe should go fight to free its holiest city from Muslim control. The Church called for the first religious crusades, 1096 to 1099. For Christian Europe, one second. For Christian Europe, going to fight to reclaim Jerusalem was seen as the highest act of religious sacrifice and redemption in the eyes of the Lord. Unfortunately, after almost 1,000 years since the Catholic Church called for the Crusades, the war between Muslims and Christians is still going on in the same place over the same reasons. Give me 1 second. It goes to say that the early success of the Crusades exposed Europeans to the outside world for the first time, and this introduction spurred new political and commercial ties with nations and peoples as far as India and the Middle and Far East. From the commerce that grew between Europeans and the people of these foreign lands, Europe got gold, precious stones, silk, ivory, spices, and other items for trade. Europeans began to lay the foundation of their social and economic development. European trade with the Far East was by land through Asia, and the Mongol Empire controlled these land routes. These Asian empires was friendly. Okay. These Asian empires was friendly to Christian Europe, so European traders had free passage through the Asiatic lands. However, the history and politics of the Middle East and Asia began to change. As it dragged on, the Crusades eventually failed, and after 200 years of fighting, Christian Europe lost all the lands it had earlier won from the Muslims. The Muslims eventually won the Crusades, but they were still not very secure from further attacks from Christian Europe. Towards the end of the 14th century, the Muslims turned their attention to the Mongol empires that occupied the lands around them. These Muslims saw in the Mongols a possible threat to their true security from Christian Europe because the Mongols were still friendly to the Christian Europe. A part of consolidating their security from Christian Europe, the Muslims under the Ottoman Empire attacked and defeated the Mongols, and they blocked not only Christian Europe's access to Jerusalem, but also access to all the land routes to India and the Far East. It is important to remember that all these historical events were happening because the Jewish people introduced African religious ideas to Europeans who did not know what these were or understand them, but they were willing to defend them with their lives. You see that? That's why your crusades happened. Okay? And then the prophets, page 134, this can be a quick video. And the prophets who wrote the Bible, it says that the Jewish prophets also propagated the concept of sin and the judgment day. But again, these were older ancient Egyptian religious concepts as it can be easily found in the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. Did any Catholic know that the purging of guilt or confession is an old ancient Egyptian religious and death ritual? Those interested in finding out about this can read ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, chapter 125. You see that? So, once again, all this stuff comes from black people. That's facts. So, once again, this Black Adam character has powers of the ancient Egyptian deities. So, every time they put out a superhero movie, they got the superheroes white people, but the powers comes from black people. Black Adam Exposed, comic book, Black Adam Exposed. Black people, niggas. And I showed that the concept and the idea came from black people of God. They call us pagans. They call us pagans, and it says that the Catholic Church and Europeans perceived black people who created the concept, doctrine, sacramental practice that eventually became the foundation of Christianity as the cursed ones by the very God black people imagined, created, and personified. Whatever book you open up and it has something to do with a god, whether the god be a dog god, a goat god, a fish god, a hippopotamus god, a rhinoceros god, it all comes from black people's imagination. That's why you believe in God. It came from black people's imagination. Now, if you like what you heard so far, click subscribe. You want to learn some true knowledge for free of charge. Click subscribe to my channel, and you can learn all this information free of charge. With that being said, peace.